Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Bigfoot. How come nobody's ever found his body yet? That's a question that gets debated a lot. I mean, people hear him, allegedly see him, allegedly find footprints, but there's never been a body. Why is that? And a lot of times they say it has to do with the same reason bear bodies aren't found. Not bear as in naked, but bear as in rah, grizzly bears. All right, we're going to get into all of that in this episode. Okay, so welcome back. I'm Courtney Maroc, your host and guide from Hunt Jaunts. Thank you for joining me. And, before we get into all of this, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel out. And I'm going to have some questions. I always do. Feel free to leave comments and answer them. Love to hear your thoughts on this because people definitely have thoughts on this. So I'm curious to hear what you have to say because I feel talking about this, regardless of which side you're on, maybe we can find some common ground that would lead to an answer. Probably not today, because you probably do have to be out from behind the computer and into the forest searching for Bigfoot. But we could get some theories because it all starts with theories and making a plan, and then you go out to investigate, right? So let's see what we come up with. So what sparked all this was a couple of weeks ago, I saw an article in The Guardian about a mountain goat that killed a grizzly bear. It was a female grizzly bear, and the necropsy, how do you say that word? Necropsy. Am I saying that right? Anyway, you can let me know if you think I am. The forensic necropsy. Yeah, that looks about right. I guess I'll put on my glasses so I can read. Forensic necropsy. Okay. That gave me fits. It said that they pretty much figured out it was a mountain goat because horns, there were 2 puncture wounds under the armpits and the neck. Well, more than 2 puncture wounds. So probably the bear bled out. But what I found interesting, so I think they think what happened was a bear goes up to attack on its hind legs, came down, and the bear, protects like that. So bear, who knew a mountain goat could take down a grizzly? So if that can happen, if Bigfoot really exists, somebody should be able to find a body. And I found this really great article out of, I believe it was the Seattle Times, and put my glasses back on so I can read that to you. It was the Seattle Times from Ron Judd, who I loved this article. It's called "The Legend of Sasquatch Won't Die, but if just one Bigfoot would die, that is, Ron Judd would become a believer." He's the author. So he makes a really great point that how long have these, myths about Bigfoot endured, and people claim to have samples and, casts of tracks and vocalizations. What else? But all the forensic evidence, any kind of supposed scat or hair samples, none of that has ever proven to be an unidentified species. Although I believe it was Expedition Bigfoot tried to say they did find evidence that was irrefutable. I didn't see that episode. I just heard some buzz about it, but nothing came of it to, to say, yes, oh my God, they definitely have. They have proof, irrefutable proof. No, nobody's had that. And unfortunately, as I believe it's Skeptical Inquirer points out, that, which fittingly enough is that eyewitness testimonies are really not good because people don't, they mean well and they believe what they're seeing, but they can often misconstrue what they're seeing, and then they can remember and add things in later. And so it's really not always the best evidence. It's evidence, not always the best. And if you've seen a Bigfoot, I'm not trying to say you haven't. I'm just trying to say that it's hard to prove that without any physical evidence like a Bigfoot body. And a lot of people will say, or have said to me over the years, well, you never see a bear body, in the woods. It just doesn't happen, which that argument has never really made sense to me, because we know bears exist. We see them. People do see them. People get great videos. There are nature photographers that go out and know exactly where to go to get bear footage. If you go to Alaska, there's bear tours. You can see bears. Bears are in captivity. Bears exist. So yeah, and we know obviously bears die. They're not immortal, but it is true. The government, I believe it's the National Park Service, has a thing on the bears of Katmai that says it is very rare to find a bear body in, the wild. It has happened. So the case where the Guardian reported about the mountain goat killing the grizzly, that bear carcass was found. It had to be lifted out because they didn't want other predators to eat it. And that's kind of what happens. Even bears, which I didn't know bears were cannibals. Did you? They'll eat. I knew that they killed each other, but they'll eat each other. So that's not too good. And that happens a lot. And then their bones are a great source of calcium for some rodents and other animals, the bone marrow. So their bones get scattered a lot of times from the scavengers and the other creatures that eat them or eat their leftover parts, I guess you should say. So that's how come a lot of times skeletons aren't found. Well, I want to say it was Lauren Coleman, but it could have been Jeffrey Meldrum. I'm not sure who once said, well, we should go look for bones that have been, or porcupine. I think it's porcupine dens. Porcupines are ones that will take the bones and eat the bones or eat the marrow, something. And you can find bone collections in their dens. And so they should be examined more carefully, which makes perfect sense. I mean, now somebody's really thinking about how do you find actual proof of Bigfoot. I don't know how you would differentiate a Bigfoot bone from any other, but I guess you just collect them all and start doing samples, DNA samples, and see what's what, which sounds like a lot of work and a lot of expense. And I don't know who would fund all of that, but sounds like a good idea. Anyway, so there have been cases. And then I believe there's another one. Actually, this one happened this year also. I believe it was the Washington Post reported that a grizzly washed up in Yellowstone. And I think he was a photographer, but I believe he was rafting. He spotted the bear. He took photos of it. I believe he posted online, but he didn't tell his location, but people figured it out anyways. And other people went and found the bear. And unfortunately, I believe decapitated it and cut its paws. I mean, they really mutilated the poor bear, which I'm not quite sure. So the feds got involved to investigate. But that's two grizzly bears this year that have been found. So that's two bear bodies. We know bears exist. We know grizzly bears exist. If Bigfoots existed, why is there no body? So the other big argument that Ron Judd brought up that many people want to debate about is because Bigfoots know when they're going to die, and they go wherever and they die in peace, or they're so evolved and they're more societal and communal than we realize, and they bury their own, or their parts, they are so remote when they die that they just get absorbed into the soil and scattered, and with the creatures and stuff eating their parts. So that's why there's no evidence of them. But it seems like with all the people searching for them now and all the people that go traipsing into the woods, even not to look for Bigfoot. But yes, there are still remote reaches of our world, and America is still left untouched, but it's getting rarer and rarer. You would think someone would have definitive proof by now if it wasn't a myth. And this is so hard for me to say because I've always believed between Nessie and Bigfoot, those two, it would be a tie that which one would get proved first. That Nessie hasn't been proved yet, and Bigfoot, but I always thought, they will. They're gonna find it. They're gonna find it, but it'll just be like a big ape or a cross between a humanzee or a bear or something, but still nothing. And it just seems like I like the points that Ron Judd made, and it kills me because I want Bigfoot to be real. I don't know why, because I think people would kill him and be afraid. And I don't know if he's intelligent. And I think he would end up dead. And if he's not extinct as a species, he would be, because it just seems like that's what people do. Or he'd get put in a zoo and he'd be studied. And Bigfoot's life, if he's found, would not be very good. So if he is at all aware of his fate, then that is why nobody finds him. But anyways, I just thought it was interesting that perhaps a goat killing a grizzly, there is still a little bit of hope that if that can happen, anything can happen. But at the same time, the fact that we have not found a Bigfoot body, it's a little bit like the light. My hope is going down. It's pretty low right now, to where I think that I just don't think we're gonna find the Bigfoot, which again, it's a mixed bag. But let me know, what do you think? Do you believe in Bigfoot? Do you believe that that one day it will definitely be proved, or do you think it already has and the government's covering it up and there is a Bigfoot somewhere, like aliens, that they're all in like a little secret hiding spot being researched? I don't know. Who knows? I really doubt that's the case, because does the government have money for that? If they have money for that, then we've got a lot of other problems that let's get these solved. I mean, let's get on it, folks. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this, or if you didn't, let me know. Disagree with me. Let's have a good debate in the comments. I'm all for it. Because again, that's where the magic lies of solving problems, is you get the fires going and stoke it up, and boom, before you know it, you crystallize a little nugget of information you can work with. So leave me a comment. And if you did like this, like and subscribe so that you don't miss, future vlogs. But for now, I'll just thank you for tuning in. And until next time, ciao for now.